Hello again. This is Pastor Tim Brewer coming to you from Central Texas, from the churches of Bend and Lomita United Methodist Churches. We're a circuit in the central part of Texas. We're remaining faithful to the Methodist Church and to the gospel. We invite you to come and watch at 9 o'clock on Sunday morning when we podcast, as well as watching these podcasts about the great themes of the Bible. We're using the great themes of the Bible because I believe it's helpful for those who are beginning a Bible study or trying to begin to understand the Bible to know what the great themes are, and that way they can place each individual part within that larger context and come to a better understanding. And of course, it's always better to study the Bible with other people, so I invite you to do that, to find people that can share your faith with, share your struggles, share your life, and share their interpretations of the Bible and their experience with it. It's always helpful and builds one another up. We're going to do the theme of salvation. Salvation is central to the Bible because of the human condition. The human condition is that we tend to be self-centered. Our natural inclination is to see to our own benefit, to our own being. The story of Adam and Eve is a story of self-centeredness and a desire to be like God, to be in charge of their own lives. When they were tempted to do something else, the snake suggested that God was lying to them, that they could be like God and they could control their own destiny in their own lives, which we are not capable of doing because we don't have the perspective of God. And that leads to brokenness. It's a brokenness within our own lives. It's a brokenness in our relationships with one another when our self-centeredness conflicts with each other, other people's self-centeredness, and it also conflicts with God. It separates us because we're no longer in a trusting relationship. We're in competition with God. We want to be God. As Adam and Eve did, as the Tower of Babel, they tried to reach up to the heavens and become like God, which they could not do. They did not have the capacity, the intellectual, the moral capacity to be God. And that ends up in our brokenness. And so God seeks to mend that brokenness. We can't do it on our own. We don't come up with that idea on our own. We just know we hurt and that something is missing. God has to reach across. God makes covenant with the Old Testament people. He made an agreement. I'll be your God and you will be my people. It's God reaching out that caused that relationship. The ultimate reaching out is through Jesus Christ. Jesus is the incarnation of God, the very essence of God made in human form, so that people could see who God was and what's God's desire for us and life in general. And so we can discover in Jesus Christ a way back to God. God provides through Jesus that way. That's why the early Christians were called people of the way. Jesus reached out and lifted up those who were downtrodden. He healed those who were sick. He reached out to people who were broken, and that mended that relationship with God and people with one another. The ultimate expression of that is in the cross, because Jesus, who was without sin, took sin upon himself to mend that relationship, to demonstrate the limitless love of God, to lift people up once more, to be in trusting relationship with God. And so trust is the ultimate expression of faith. We'll be getting into faith later on, but we want to say that God reaches out to us to mend our relationship with God and one another. And that saves us, that gives us life, that pulls us from the sea of tumult and conflict and destruction, and saves our lives, pulls us out like a life ring that pulls us out into safe haven with God. So that's the theme that runs all through the Bible, how God is reaching out to human beings to pick them up and put them in a better place so that they can not only survive but thrive. All right, well, I'll see you next time.